Today's topic revolves around cities, how cities impact us, whether cities impact us, or whether it is the people living in those cities help evolve the character, the personality of the city. Does every city have a distinct character? Like everyone says, New York City, the city that never sleeps, the city that has everything, the city that is always going on and on and on. And if you have traveled to New York City, if you've spent some time in New York City, everyone there is in a hurry. Be it cab drivers, be it pedestrians, be it people who are white-collared office workers or blue-collared folks. And one thing you're going to find consistent is the temperament of people. Because everyone is in a hurry, probably everyone wants to save time and not engage in those lengthy discussions. Maybe also the pleasantries that we experience down south here in Dallas, Texas, or Texas for that matter. That life is kind of laid back. It's not that fast. So slightly different approach to how we talk to people, how we approach people, how we greet people, and how we spend time with people. So does each city have a character? What's a favorite character of yours that you associate with a city? That could be a good question. Now, a big question is whether cities communicate with us, or it is us, the human beings, that communicate back to the city. So if I'm strolling one evening down Bank Road in Rawalpindi, I hear the cars driving past, I hear rickshaws driving past, I can smell the pollution, I can smell the smog, and I can taste those very fine particles in the air. And if I happen to stop at a samosa cart and just want to enjoy a samosa chaat, a plate of samosa chaat, that is what's talking to me. Because in that moment in time, yes, Bank Road is talking to me. And what I'm saying back is, you know what? I'm gonna enjoy this samosa chaat plate because when I'm not here, I'm gonna look back and remember the taste of the samosa, the smell of air filled with smog and filled with fuel, and that polluted sun setting in the background. So yes, that city talks, speaks to me. Now, it could also be Melbourne, one of the most gorgeous places I've been to, and not more so the city, but the ocean talks. Especially if you are just walking towards the cliff and there is this one bench where you just happen to grab a cup of coffee 8:30 in the morning before you are about to start your work at 9 o'clock. And there's this bench right next to on the cliff, next to the beach. And you just sit there. You just enjoy listening to those waves coming to the shore and just creating that sound, creating that, and that conversation between the waves and your soul. The air, the breeze, the sunlight, depending on if it's summer or winter. It's southern hemisphere, so it's going to be kind of different. So that's the communication you're going to have. Just sit down, relax, enjoy your cup of coffee, because that communication is what you're going to have when you're not there. So is there a city that talks back to you, or a city that you love talking to? I don't know, call me crazy, call me weird, but I'm more than sure there are some people who may have experienced that. How cities interact with people, or how people interact with cities, go about our relationship with those cities. And then what kind of impact these cities have on us. And I guess we can simply break this down into what part of our lives and how great a part of our lives in terms of time duration we spend in a certain city. So if we're in a city during our, say, early teens, that experience is going to be different. So some time I spent in New York City. Before I was in New York City, I had no concept of jeans. I had no concept of leaving your shirt tucked out. I was always in pants and button-down shirts. Shirt tucked in all the time. New York City, living in the Bronx, changed, made me evolve. Because New York City, really, it's absolutely raw. It makes you think. It makes you think about yourself. And then comparing New York City to Dallas, Texas, where I've spent most of my time married, working, and then having kids as a father. So how I look at the city, the relationship I have with the city is in context of a married man, an employed man who is now raising a family. So my relationship, the impact this city is going to have on me is going to be slightly different. Maybe my perception of the city is going to be slightly different. It's going to be more of an employment-driven perspective or a business-driven perspective. How to raise a family perspective. And that's the impact this city is going to have on me. Whether or not this place is a good place to raise a family. So the impact in terms of my decisions that I'm going to make while I'm in this city, considering the relationships I have around me and with me, how the city is going to impact those, and how the decisions I make in context of my relationships will impact what I do in the city and the consequences of those decisions. Has there been a city that has really done you wrong? That you absolutely do not want to go to that city ever again, no matter what happens. Even if someone gives you $1 million, you're not going to go back to that city. Is there a city? Oh, I'd love to know. Then we have the love-hate relationship with different cities by virtue of either association through someone or direct relationship. So if someone got married in Los Angeles, they would forever cherish that place, at least for as long as their marriage stays intact. Or even if the marriage is not intact, if they have fond memories of their wedding and they've established some good memories of their wedding, they will have good things to say about Los Angeles by association. But on the other hand, if someone had an accident, let's say in Kansas City, they're always going to associate Kansas City as the place where I had that horrible accident. I am not going back there. I'm not driving on those roads. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, we're not stopping by. Even if we're going to drive through, we are not stopping by. We're not spending the night there because of my experience, because of the memories associated with that place. Well, I've got one place in Rawalpindi where I had this terrible accident, and it's still one of my favorite places to be in, Rawalpindi. Despite that accident, I mean, I had actually 2 or 3 accidents in Rawalpindi, but that was part of growing up. So I can't really hold that against the city. Because as I said, part of growing up, part of that relationship, my relationship with the city is to own the experiences I have in the city. Regardless of the fact that those experiences are adverse or good. And the best part about cities is the friends we make. It could be friends that I made back in late 90s when we're just walking down Islamabad highway, pushing a car that does not have fuel anymore, and we push the car for a couple of kilometers to get to our college campus. And by the time we get to the campus, we are just drenched in sweat. And I still remember those 4 friends of mine, myself being the 5th one. Or it could be the friends I made during my time in St. Louis, Missouri. I mean, only a handful of friends, but good friends. We still talk. If we're visiting some cities and there is some posts on social media, we still comment, still like. So the circles of friends that we make in all these cities goes a long way. And those different circles define us different ways. my elementary school circle, if I'm still in touch with those people, I may not have that many memories associated with them, but if I still know those people, my relationship with them would be different. With my high school friends, that's different. We still have about 20 odd friends in a group chat where we talk all day long. There's not a moment when that chat goes silent because of this digital age. And I'm talking about 20-year-old association. One of the guys I met after 25 years. And this goes back to, once again, whether we spend our entire life in one city or we keep moving by virtue of nature of job or nature of employment, business, or some other needs that we have. That also impacts how people perceive things. If I'm the kind of person who has moved so much that moving is not a problem for me, well, all I need is 2 weeks notice and boom, let's do this. But on the other hand, if I'm the kind of person who has not seen moving around growing up, I'm gonna have a problem with moving every 2 years, every 3 years. Because growing up in that city, I did not have to do that. So my memories related to the city itself are of stability. And maybe memories for another person going through all those different cities are that of on an adventure. So different ways our circumstances define our relationship with the cities. And whether or not cities impact our decisions, I really want to know from you guys. Are you the kind of person who enjoys arriving in the city? Or you're the kind of person who looks forward to leaving this city to get to the new town and see what kind of friends I'm going to make, or what kind of food places I'm going to explore, and what kind of challenges I'm going to face in terms of what comes next. There's no right or wrong answer, really. The only reason I wanted to talk to you about this was a discussion we had in one of our group chats about cities and favorite cities. So what is your favorite city? And which city you absolutely do not want to go back to? If you want to share why, that would be awesome. I hope whatever city you're in, listening to this or watching this, you have some good memories associated with that city and some lessons that you've learned courtesy of being in that city. So if that happens to be the case, fantastic. If you haven't crossed that bridge, I certainly hope you do, so that you have some memories and some lessons to take from. On that note, take good care of yourselves and the city you live in.